Hello, dear friends, Evolutionary Energy Arts family.
Hello, dear ones.
So we're going to have an upcoming video on the second house in astrology, but first we wanted to do another mantra video, and just to let you guys know perhaps a deeper understanding of Vedic thought and, well, some of the divine beings thereof, and also our own reality and consciousness as well.
Well, it is a wonderful subject to explore because there's so many different aspects to it, and anyone could find anything that would work for them.
It is amazing the depths of exploration of consciousness that exists within the Hindu tradition. It's just incredible, really. It's so deep, so vast. There's so many different facets to it. And what we're looking at right here is Lakshmi. And so Lakshmi is many, many things on many different levels. Although primarily right now, in our time, she is thought of as the goddess of abundance.
Yeah, to me, I mean, she's very much also like the mother goddess type of energy too.
Yeah, and she is one that we know abundantly well, and we actually are in debt to her because we wouldn't be together if it wasn't for her.
Right. And, I think one of the maybe misconceptions with Lakshmi is when people say goddess of abundance, or if you look her up on YouTube to find her mantra, it's just you goddess of money. No, that's not it. It's not about that. It's more about the abundance in your heart.
That ends up manifesting abundance in so many different ways. And I've shared this story with you guys before in many different videos, but I'm sure there's probably most of you who haven't heard it. But when I was doing my own private practice in Ohio, I had one lady who was very, very psychic and gifted say to me, I see this dark-haired woman. She's Indian. And she said, not Native American. She's Indian. And she wants me to tell you, why are you pushing away what I want to give you? And then I had two more people that were both intuitive, and two of the three were energy workers. Were also fellow Reiki masters, and they got the same impression. They all described the same being to me, saying, she's reaching out to you and she's trying to work with you, and you're not allowing her because you're pushing it away. And this is also part of the bigger message that Cindy and I were giving, and it's taken me a long time because I'm dense in some ways, to really understand this, because I have such a dislike of the system. It borders on let's just say an intense dislike of the system, because I understand the system controls us and it's been designed to do that. Yet I would not be able to do what I have been doing and doing good, as opposed to what I did most of my life, which was make corporations money, instead of really working for humanity and trying to help people as best I can, if it wasn't for her gifts, because she's enabled it so that we can exist doing the work that we're here to do. And that wouldn't be possible without her blessings of abundance. And I know a lot of people out there are going to be like, "What, you're manifesting it yourself? You're doing your own passion?" Yeah, but I just didn't believe it could be. And then I got the message from three different people that this being is trying to help you. And I knew then when the third one finally said it, it hit me. I wonder if that's Lakshmi, the goddess of abundance, because at this point in time, the Vedic system was the one I studied the least. I was much deeper in the Chinese system. I was much deeper in, studying Western Hermeticism, the Kabbalah, things along those lines. So this was one tradition that I hadn't explored that much, just really superficially. And, conversely, like the last almost 10 years now, that's been the one that I've studied the deepest now. And it's been also the one that's opened up my mind to the way the universe works to a much higher degree.
Right. And I think it's also important to understand with Lakshmi being the goddess of abundance, when you do push away what she's trying to give you, it upsets her. She's trying to give you something. So if you could just sort of personify it and look like it as a human perspective, it's the same thing. If someone's trying to gift you something from their heart and you push it away, that's going to create resistance and hurt.
Exactly. So she was trying to bless me with the ability to support myself doing my work, which my work has always been healing and teaching others. And so I got so busy, in my own private practice that I could barely keep up with it, even to the point where I was exhausted all the time because I was working so much, but I would never want to turn anybody away. And Cindy knows that's kind of the way I am. I just keep pushing forward. But it was her blessings and her coming to me. And incidentally, it was at about the same time that Cindy started to feel her presence, and she was being guided as well. And so she made it. She created the circumstances so that we could ultimately meet and be of benefit to each other, and thus be a benefit to the world and the greater whole. Because when we first met, it felt like something on a much higher level was sewing us together energetically and blessing us with that union, because we have a higher purpose. And it was all her.
Oh, we definitely have a higher purpose. See, Mike and I, separately, we're both energetically powerful when we work on people individually, but my gosh, when you put these two energies together, when you put our energy together and we work on people, it brings things to a whole new level. It's really, really quite amazing.
And so, I know for many people this would sound like crazy talk or what have you. How can you know? Okay, so 3 people had the same vision and all, but then I started to study and pursue learning about this tradition. I started to do mantras, and after maybe a week of doing mantras on a daily basis, hundreds of repetitions, thousands, then I awoke to see a beautiful orb of light inside the room, and I was wide awake watching it. And it came back 4 times, and this, the orb was basically, it's the devas themselves, and so was visited by Ganesh and Lakshmi, and it just showed me these beings are real, because I was wide awake watching it. I actually reached out to touch it because it made me laugh and feel just such a happiness, a joy, and it moved just outside of my ability to touch it. But it imparted such a feeling of just love and beautiful divine compassion. And both Cindy and I have been touched by these energetic waves of energy that the only way you could describe them is kind of a divine bliss.
Mm-hmm. Oh, yeah, it's very much a divine bliss. It's something that there's nothing on the planet that you could ingest to make you feel so good and so positive and so uplifted. And she also has a very motherly type of quality and a protective type of quality about her. And, energetically, these beings are all very, very positive. But what I think is fun, as I channel them, I can feel their individual energies getting stronger and stronger for me to perceive, to channel.
Exactly. And it's again, it's a case of gnosis. It's knowing because it's experienced. There's nothing theoretical about it when you have these experiences. And, she's appeared to many. And so Paramahamsa Yogananda was basically, even though he achieved a very high level of self-realization, still he was a devotee of the goddess. And the goddess energy is what has been destroyed in this planet. It's been so put underfoot by the system, and there's many reasons for that. As we have said, one, because if we're really in touch with the goddess energy, we couldn't destroy the planet. You would find it impossible for yourself to do it, because it would be like hurting your own mother. And so, these beings that are really raping and pillaging the planet, they can't have you attached and connected to this divine feminine principle. Also because, that's the principle that will allow one to turn the other cheek and to, take the higher ground and not always react in a warlike manner, but in a compassionate, loving manner. It's heart-centered. It's fourth chakra. And this is also the key to Christ consciousness, as we have talked about as well. So she is the bestower of many blessings, but divine peace and love is one of them. These beings reside on a very high plane of existence, and you said primarily you were getting that this is a sixth density.
Right. They can function quite well on the sixth density, as far as, interacting with one another, things that they do, pastimes, getting to know each other, talking. There's, when I look up there, it's just a very divine, beautiful existence that they have, and they can manifest whatever they want rather quickly.
There's a reflection between 6 and 3D. As above, so below. This is really where more of our higher selves really truly reside. This is really where our home is. And this is really above many of the quote-unquote heavens, and most definitely above the quote-unquote hells that we hear of, as most of those reside primarily on the astral plane, like in 4D. The lower 4D is not a pleasant place to be, and that's kind of why we are, as we go through this process of ascension, encountering more and more of these dark energies, because that's where they are. And most of them don't have the ability to get up outside of 4D. Some can make it up out of 4 into 5. But when we get up into the 6D plane of existence, it gets more and more benevolent as you go on up. And as we've shared before, like the archangels, they are incredible beings that can go, what they can achieve is mind-blowing as well. And they can jump from all these different densities around at will. They're very, very powerful beings. Now, these beings right here, like Lakshmi, is of such a divine, beautiful nature, but very, very human at the same time. It's not that they don't have their human side of things, their human emotions.
Right. She does like her comforts. She does like to take good care of herself, but she's also very, very giving at the same time. When I do look at her, or I see her, or I start to channel her, I usually see her, dressed very much like looks here, and sitting on a white sofa with very elegant surroundings. It's and the feel of it is just so calming.
It is. It's interesting too when we look at the different traditions. They do intertwine in many ways. So typically, Lakshmi is thought of as being the wife, basically, of Vishnu, who's also known as Narayana. But in some traditions, she's actually paired with Shiva, and then there's so many different ways to look at things as we have tried to explain about consciousness itself. And there you see Seshanaga behind them as the cobra, the 7 heads of the cobra, which represent in some ways the 7 chakras. And when the Kundalini is activated to the highest extent, I have felt it where it feels like I'm enveloped in a cobra coming over my head, because the crown chakra is so open, it merges with the third eye chakra. And it's incredible. And when Cindy can see that energy, and I'm channeling that energy, it's so expansive that it extends out of the walls of this room, which has a 20-foot ceiling, and it's basically a 20 by 20 square. And so my entire aura expands to that point. What's fascinating too is the whole concept of avatars as well. And now Lakshmi is the bearer and bringer of abundance of all types. And Vishnu is the preserver. Vishnu, Narayana, is the preserving force of the universe. And so there's a lot of other interesting aspects to this as well. Now, probably the most famous incarnation of Vishnu is Krishna, which is again, 3100 BC, 3102, 3106, in that area is when they feel that he left this plane of existence. Every time he incarnates, because he incarnates to help put humanity back on the right path, to help bring light into the world as we're battling the darkness. And by the way, when he left, that was the beginning of the Kali Yuga. Well, Radhe is his love, and Radhe is Lakshmi incarnated. So whenever Vishnu incarnates, she incarnates as well. And they are a pair that work together, a divine pair. And so Krishna is in many ways another embodiment of Christ consciousness, as Krishna was 3,000 years before Christ. And, Radhe, just the epitome of everything beautiful and divine feminine.
Mm-hmm. Right. Very beautiful beings, coming together to produce such another extraordinarily wonderful essence of energy and healing and divine nature. It's just wonderful.
It is, and we'll always get people that are of a fundamentalist background that will call everything else demons, and it's just extreme ignorance. And it comes through not having that direct experience of what the energy of these beings truly is, and just really being in a left-brained sort of mind with no direct experience and having that fear-based indoctrination that everything that's not what I'm comfortable with has got to be evil. And that's not the case, because these beings are just amazingly benevolent.
Oh my gosh, they are, and it is sad to see people still locked in this belief system, and it is only because of fear. So, I have a lot of compassion for them, because really it's just fear. If they could only step outside, and, if they are listening, then they're not too far away from stepping outside the box, which is great.
And so another set of incarnations is Rama, who is thought of in many ways as being the epitome of what all males should kind of strive for. Extremely steadfast, honest, generous, giving, kind, but also fearless in doing his duty. And Sita, who is his love interest that was captured by a demon and taken away to Lanka. And a fascinating set of stories there as well. And this is another incarnation that happened perhaps around 5,000 BC, about 7,000 years ago or so. Interesting as well. And so this is Vishnu, Narayana, and this is Lakshmi incarnating again. And the interesting thing that Cindy has gotten is that she can see Lakshmi with Sita and with Radhe as if they're sisters, yet it's still the same entity, but they're separate at the same time. They are distinct entities. It's a fascinating thing to think of, but it's like giving birth to another version of yourself.
Oh, it is. And these are things that you learn about that don't necessarily go along with the book. So that's why I think listening to your heart and channeling is really, really important, because, I didn't know this. I didn't think it was possible, but there it was. When I looked, I could see her with her, I perceive sisters.
And yet it is her. And so this is also very much what we discover when we look into the Pomono shamanic system that is given to us in the book that I recommended for you, a lot of you guys. And I don't think there's any copies left out there, How the Universe Works. I don't think there's any copies out there, because there is what we would call an oversoul, which gives birth to these individual souls. Each one of them is a unique incarnation and a distinct being, and each being, in a sense, is eternal, and yet it's still part of the one greater whole. This is part of that mystery, the greatest mystery of all, that ultimately all is one.
Yeah, and it's a beautiful thing, and it's okay to, roll these concepts around and look outside the box and discover whatever you can while you're here.
So, this is just, it's amazing, and I want to share more with you. I've gone into such depth in my studies of all the different systems that exist, as we've talked about 30,000 different branches of Christianity out there. And there are probably an equal amount in the Vedic system as well, even though When you look at the scriptures that come out of the Hindu system, there's thousands, if not 10,000s, if not hundreds of thousands of more scriptures. It's just overwhelming. If you think that the Bible is big, the Bible is not big at all. The Bible is not even a chapter in the greater book of the exploration of consciousness that we've gotten from the people of the Indus Valley, which in my estimation, I feel it's the oldest. I feel it's older than the Sumerian civilization and the Egyptian. And I feel it translates back to Lemuria, kind of a direct knowledge given to us from Lemuria, where I feel like what we're looking at with the other systems is leftovers of the Atlantean system. Which was a system that really fell in so many ways and opened the door to the dark energies in so many ways and the control of the dark energies. So I feel here we're getting much closer to understanding the true hidden knowledge of everything. And ultimately all is one. So how can one individual be the same as three different ones? Well, it's all part of this exploration of consciousness, because ultimately everything is consciousness exploring just an infinite creation. When we recognize that, then we recognize that we are trapped in this, or apparently trapped in this, and not everybody's trapped in this. Many volunteer to come in here to open up the door so others can escape up into the higher realms and get a breath of fresh air and understand that, they could co-create their own reality. Yet the manifestation that we see on this planet has been one of darker entities that are really not as powerful as we are. Even though it appears that they're more powerful, they're not. And once we tap into the power that exists within us, we don't need any of their system. We don't need any of their ways, but it's just a matter of waking up the masses to this fact.
Right. Once you discover that, wow, I can create my own surroundings, I can create everything around me and be in total control of that, which isn't always an easy task, but it's doable through, persistency, consistency of a spiritual practice, then they no longer have you anymore. You're free.
Exactly. And many will be free to get past this matrix and to go back up into the higher realms and experience the blissful realms and plan new journeys, new explorations, new things to discover about ourselves, because this is what this is. This is a journey of self-exploration. And so when we look at Rama and Krishna, we're supposed to take from them their example. And the same thing with Christ, the Christ consciousness. As Cindy has shared, Yeshua's energy is very distinct from Lakshmi's energy. They're both very, very distinct, and yet they're both very, very benevolent, and they're on the same team. And there's angels that are working with both of them, right, and with us.
Right. They're very individual. Just like when I'm working on someone, I feel their energy kind of comes into me, and I can feel that. These beings are the same way. When I channel Lakshmi or Yeshua, they both have a very distinct, different type of energy. It's just really, really interesting how we're not taught about these things growing up, because they don't want us to know we can do this.
These are individual personalities.
Yep.
And this is a beautiful thing. Like, if I asked you to give to me a brief explanation of Krishna's energy.
Krishna is a very kind of happy-go-lucky, can be very maybe even mischievous, likes to play tricks, likes to party, likes to have a good time, always kind of on the up and up, trying to make other people happy too.
And then if you were to describe Yeshua's energy in comparison.
A little more serious, but more solid, still very loving, very caring, very concerned, but very steadfast, very stable. It's almost like Yeshua, I do feel his mission when he's standing. I feel he's on a mission.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, so they do have distinct personalities, but then again, they're both of the light, and they're both trying to bring love and light and a higher vibrational consciousness to everybody on the planet.
Well, yeah, there's a common goal. They just simply take different paths to reach it.
Because they're individuals. Mm-hmm. And that's a beautiful thing. We don't have to be one size fits all. And that whole concept of basically having to be as serious as a monk in a cloister and solemn, and you can't enjoy everything or anything. That's not the case. After all, right? Christ turned water into wine for a purpose.
That's right.
He did. And so when you feel Lakshmi's energy, now what would you describe hers?
Her energy, like my heart kind of jumps. She feels very light, very motherly, somewhat protective. And it kind of depends on my mood, really, to feel the reflection of her mood. Sometimes, like if I've gotten upset or have been upset, she will come and she'll hold me. It's like an auric hug, and it's just very motherly, very protective, very much saying, it's going to be okay. You're going to be okay. I got you.
And we've also talked about Kuan Yin, and we've talked about Tara. And so with Kuan Yin, like you had said once when I was doing the Kuan Yin mantra, that if we could get people doing this mantra, we could change the consciousness of the entire planet.
Oh, I believe so. Very, very much. And she's another motherly force that feels extremely stable and just very, very high vibrational. If we could get people to start to absorb that energy, it's an extremely merciful energy. There's nothing that you can't go to this being for. All of your falses, all of your issues, you could take it to her, and she will absorb that and meet you where you're at and work with you from there.
And ultimately, all the goddesses are one goddess.
Yep.
So that's one of the mysteries. And Shiva was once asked why he said that if you worship Vishnu, you worship me. Because again, all gods are one God, and then ultimately all is one. This is consciousness exploring creation. It's all about exploration, learning, and fun at the same time, and fun. So for contacting Lakshmi, Om Shrim Mahalakshmiye Namaha. That is a powerful mantra we've been using for a long time. There are others as well, but again, it's Om Shrim. Shrim is the root word Shri, Shrim. That's all about Lakshmi. Maha means great, and then Lakshmiye Namaha. And Namaha is kind of like, it's like bowing or curtsying, and just sort of saying, I respect you.
Yes, and you do this thinking of your own mother or the nurturer in your life and how you care about them, and that's her energy.
So this gives you some details on this, and again, there's so many different ways to look at things. So not everybody is in 100% agreement, and some will stress, as Cindy was saying, more the material side of prosperity without really stressing the other side of prosperity, which is that emotional abundance and feeling of security and love and gratitude and wealth. Gratitude is a very, very, very important thing to tap into, because he who has will be given more. When we have gratitude, it just kind of opens the door to abundance. So in giving thanks, even when times might be tough, it's an amazing door opener to bring more in. And so she gives prosperity and willingness to share our emotional, spiritual, and material resources as well. And she's also, she can be related to Padma and Padme, as you guys might know, Om Mane Padme Hum, which is talking about the lotus. And of course, she's visualized many times sitting on the lotus again. So is Kuan Yin, and so is Tara. And there's a reason, because the lotuses are, again, they're references to the chakras. And the chakras are the key. When our chakras are open, then we can have that communication with the higher divine realms. And then we don't have to guess. And then it's not going through the left brain. It's knowing, as in gnosis, as in Gnosticism, as in direct contact with the divine of an experiential nature that nobody could take away from you.
Oh, no, they definitely can't. It's a knowing that because you feel it in your own body, yet it's a different feeling. It's really quite interesting.
So thank you guys for sharing this time with us. Thank you for being part of this family. Make sure you're subscribed and have the bell clicked. Thank you for your support on Ko-Fi and Patreon. Anybody that wants to reach out to us for energy work, coaching, anything at all, just reach out to us at EEARTS@protonmail.com, or evolutionaryenergyarts@gmail.com. And as always, may you guys be blessed with abundant peace, love, and happiness. And Cindy's going to give us a little bit of a clearing ding here. God bless and namaste.
Namaste.